Welcome to Built in Vegas, the podcast where we spotlight the stories, strategies, and resources behind the businesses that make Vegas thrive. Whether you're starting up or scaling up, you're in the right place. Brought to you by the Video Podcast Studio.
All right, what's up, everybody? We are live in the studio. Today, we are in Studio 3 here in the Video Podcast Studio based in Green Valley area. And my name is Trevin Angulo. I'm the owner. And today, we're going to be talking about, does your business need a podcast? And need is a very strong word, right? Does your business need this? I can't say that it absolutely 1,000,000% needs a podcast. And it's not going to be the same answer for every business. There's a lot of variables with the types of businesses where a podcast is going to do really well, right? I think for any businesses offering services to other business, podcasting could be really good. B2C as well, it can be really good. It just really depends on the intentionality behind starting a podcast, why you're doing this, and right, which is intentionality. So I'm repeating myself, but it really depends on kind of what the end goals are of starting a podcast in the first place. So first off, let's just kind of talk about what is a podcast when it comes to a business? How are we doing this? Because I think a lot of times when we think about podcasting, people are thinking about Joe Rogan, right? They're thinking about maybe Theo Vaughn or the Flagrant podcast. We, as businesses, aren't necessarily looking at building a podcast for entertainment. Once again, it depends on the type of business you have. Like B2C, if you're a product company, then starting a podcast that's meant to be entertaining, talking about lifestyle, that's meant to be a little bit more viral, is definitely good. We work with a lot of businesses that provide professional services, so they do a lot of B2B interactions, like business coaches, loan officers. All loan officers are technically B2C, but they get most of their clients from realtors, so it is B2B. We work with a lot of people like that. And the type of podcast that they're going to do is going to be a little bit different, right? This isn't really about entertaining the masses and pitching a product. It's about building relationships with the person you're bringing into the room, number one. And then number two, about building relationships with people online, your potential customers. A lot of time that isn't going to be in the same format as, let's say, a Joe Rogan, or let's go into once again, Flagrant, where you're talking about political topics or you're talking about dating or whatever. On a product-based one, it's going to be more that way for sure, right? Like if I'm selling, let's just say, women's clothing, right? Then I'm probably going to start a lifestyle show. Maybe we're going to be talking about dating as a female, in the modern age of dating, what that's like, stuff that's going to be relevant to potential customers. And that all begins with the same basics of any marketing strategy, which is, who is my demographic, right? Are they 18 to 25-year-olds? Are they 45 to 60-year-olds? Where are they? Who are they? What do they like? What do they talk about? And then how do we create a podcast that invites them into a story and helps them build some trust and credibility with a brand, right? So once again, there's a big difference between doing a podcast for a product-based company versus doing a podcast for a professional business service, right? Like if you're a marketing agency, it doesn't really make sense to do a podcast about dating, right? Unless maybe you only work with women entrepreneurs. But then you're probably going to tailor that conversation even more niched down to dating as a woman entrepreneur, right? So there's a lot of ways to go about it when you are looking at, how do I leverage podcasting for my business? And the question, does my business need a podcast? comes down to, once again, those goals. Like, what are we trying to achieve with it? Why are we starting this in the first place? Oftentimes, when we get people coming into the studio, they're like, hey, I need to start a podcast. And I ask them why. They just go like, I don't know. I've been told we need to start one. Okay. Well, if we don't know our why, then it's going to be really hard for us to understand the direction of the podcast, the format of the podcast, even the length of the videos and the way that we're going to be doing this. And so it's really important to understand why you're starting a podcast. And we are live on Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, and YouTube. If you guys have any questions when you're watching this live, or if you're watching this afterwards, feel free to ask them. We'll respond to them as they come in. What's up, Jackson? Hi. It's so hard to read usernames. Anyways, what's up, everybody joining us on the live stream? If you guys got any questions about podcasting, let me know. Happy to answer or explain anything more in depth. But getting back to this, like understanding your why. Like, why are we creating this in the first place? What I don't like to hear from people coming into the studio is, I'm doing this because it's a trend or a fad. This really isn't a trend or a fad. Like, podcasting isn't new. It's become more accessible to create, so it's blown up more. But there's no difference between, well, there is a difference, but there's not much of a difference between like talk show radios and podcasting, right? This isn't a fad. This isn't going away. This is a very good tool to leverage in your business to grow it for a few different reasons. One, the part that we talk about the most, right? Like, if you have a business, podcasting is a very good networking tool for you. You're able to use it to connect with people that maybe you can't connect with otherwise, right? So if you're a business in the B2B space, you want to build relationships with other businesses to either get their book of business or to build a partnership with them, right? Maybe they're referral partners, right? You want to build relationships. Sometimes there's these pesky little things that we call gatekeepers that are blocking access to the people that we need to talk to that make the decisions. Podcasting gets you around those gatekeepers and gets you a meeting with the person you're trying to do. Now, obviously, we never suggest that you invite people on a podcast to just simply pitch them. They come on because it's going to be about them. They get to promote their business. They get to tell their story. And you need to make your episode about that. Don't just be pitching things. That is the worst thing to do. You definitely don't want to bait and switch what this podcast episode should be about for the people you're bringing on. But it's a very good tool for you to leverage to get that initial meeting with them, learn more about them, right? And then once you're done filming the episode, continue that conversation, continue building that relationship, maybe a soft pitch if it makes sense. You know, we've done episodes with people where I bring them in, and that's kind of the goal. The same format that we preach is kind of what we practice here in the studio. And after we talk for a little bit, I realized, you know what? They're not the best fit for us. And we don't pitch them anything, right? Like, it's okay. You don't have to be pitching everyone. And sometimes there's people that are a good fit and we don't pitch it, right? Because I think it's just so frustrating when, like, especially when you own a business, right? Like, you're constantly being pitched. Like, if you ever talk to a lawyer about how often they're getting pitched services and they all promise you the world, they're all so exclusive and this and that and blah, 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 and it only costs this much money, right? It never ends. And so, like, being pitched is just like so draining. Like, we're all constantly being pitched with TV commercials and whatnot, that we don't want to just constantly pitch. We want to build relationships with people. And when those relationships are right, they can turn into business. And so that's how we use our podcast. So we've launched a podcast called Built in Vegas. It's a standalone podcast that I guess we sponsor from the studio. And the whole goal is to build community with local entrepreneurs. We want to connect with more local entrepreneurs And we want to talk to them about their struggles, their wins, provide help to other entrepreneurs that are struggling, and even interview some local resources like grant writers and stuff that can explain processes to entrepreneurs here in town. Right. So we look for people that we can build relationships with. And once again, sometimes those relationships isn't the best fit for them to be in the studio and become a client, but building that relationship, they might refer us people. And our podcast has generated revenue for our business. And we are going to be doubling down on the podcast and doing more podcasting for the studio with our Built in Vegas podcast because we're meeting really cool people. But now, podcasting isn't some magic solution, right? Like, I feel like oftentimes people think, like, if I buy this widget, all my problems are gone. If I use this service, all my problems are gone. Podcasting won't eliminate the issues that you're facing when it comes to like networking and building relationships and generating leads and sales for your business, but it's a very good tool to help you, right? But after you're done with podcasting, there's some stuff that you need to do. One, you got to post the content, obviously, right? And we can help with that. But you need to then follow up and continue building the relationship. Nothing's worse than a transactional interaction, right? Like what we've seen happen with some clients in ours that didn't get success with using the podcast the way that we try to teach them to is they would bring the people in here and then that's it. They would hope to close some deal right then and there. And unless you're brand new to business, you understand there's sales cycles. There's things, it's going to take time. You have to continually build trust. Maybe the timing isn't right, but it's going to take time to close a deal. And so you have to continue building that relationship and continue following up. You can't just do the interview and expect miracles to happen, right? This isn't a magic solution. It's just a tool to help you be introduced to other people, connect with the people that you're trying to connect with, and then you got to follow up and do the rest, right? So podcasting isn't designed to fix everything for you. And I feel like sometimes we get some people in the studio that feel that way. And the people that we know that are crushing it, that use our studio or don't use our studio, they understand that. They leverage it as a tool and then they follow up and they build those relationships. They might even bring them on for a second interview to strengthen that relationship. And then they're getting results. And so podcasting is incredibly important for your business, right? And I would go as far to say that most businesses would benefit from having a podcast. There's probably some exceptions out there. I know that we've told some businesses that have come through the studio that after talking with them, that podcasting wasn't the best fit for them, that they should spend their marketing dollars somewhere else and that we would point them in the right direction. But it wasn't, not that podcasting wouldn't help them, but it wouldn't help them with their immediate goals. With the immediate goals that they had, podcasting just wasn't the right fit. And if it's not the right fit, we don't want you wasting your money here in the studio. So got Drew saying, great value, bro. Are you saving these live streams? Honestly, most of the time I don't. Right now I am live streaming to like YouTube, Facebook, and LinkedIn, and then those will save it. And I am recording right now. Most of the time when I do my live streams, especially if it's just Instagram, I don't record anything, and I should because sometimes we have really good conversations in those lives. For example, the other day we were doing a live stream and we only had 4 people, right? And this is relevant because a question we get from businesses often is like, well, we don't have a following. Okay. You don't need 1 million followers, right? To have a successful podcast, we need to define what success is, which is why it's important to understand why are we doing this in the first place and what does success look like. For me, if I do 10 episodes, I'm hoping, or my definition of success of that season is for us to convert 2 to 3 new membership clients, right? And so I'm looking for, I guess, about 30% closure rate with the podcasts that we're doing, which isn't crazy high, but that would be success for me. I don't care about view count. I don't care about reach. I don't care about engagement. Do all those things matter? Yes. If we can generate leads from these, great. But the podcast, I'm not worried about generating leads. I'm worried about building relationships with specific people. And so if I can convert 2 to 3 of those out of 10 episodes into monthly membership clients, then I am pumped and our season was a success. And so it's important to remember you don't need big numbers to be successful, depending on what your version of success is. For example, like I was talking about, I was doing a live stream the other day and we only had 4 people in the live stream, right? Which we never really have a lot of people. I think the most we've ever had on like Instagram and like Facebook combined was like maybe 15 or 20, right? Like it's not like we do numbers. I'm not consistent at this. I don't announce it. Like I don't do any of the things that we should be doing to try to grow it. But I like doing them and I like doing them at random times. But we had 4 people in there and they asked me, what do you say when people get discouraged about views? And my answer is always the same. Is like, if you focus on views, you're going to lose because if you're just chasing view count, you're probably losing sight on what's important and losing sight on the important conversations you need to have to build trust, to grow your business, and to, I guess I should rephrase that, to build trust, right? To build relationships and grow your business. And so what happens is people focus so much on view count, they start just doing random trends and random this and random that, or saying wild things or saying polarizing things just to get that satisfaction of the vanity numbers versus as a business, once again, that's what we're talking about here, focusing on helping people solve problems, focusing on building those relationships with the individuals that are giving you your time. You know, we had somebody in the studio yesterday and she was, talking about a very similar thing. And she was like, man, someone was just complaining they only had 1,000 views. And I was like, imagine if you had 1,000 people in a room right now. And I was like, yeah, dude, like if I had 100 people in a room that I got to speak to, I'd be pumped. I know I'd be able to build a relationship on stage, get them to like me, get them to trust me a little bit, and then follow up with those people that are interested and convert a few. And so views aren't incredibly important. And in that live stream with just the 4 people, we actually had one person there asking a bunch of questions. 3 of them were studio owners, which is cool. But the one person that wasn't liked the stuff we were talking about, asked me some questions, then DM'd me, and then now we're talking about potentially signing them up for a membership, right? So and that was with only 4 people watching. So view count isn't incredibly important. Now, obviously, we want more people to see it. When I say view count, it isn't important. I'm not saying we want you to get 0 views. I'm saying that you shouldn't focus on view count only. Focus on solving problems. Focus on giving attention to those people that are listening and provide value, and your view count will grow, and it will grow with the potential customers, right? Your audience becoming the potential customers that are going to spend money with you. Because if you're a business, the only reason why you're starting a podcast is to generate more revenue. That's it. Unless you have a lot of money to blow and you just want to do it because it's fun, every business is starting a podcast because it can help them generate more revenue. And it's a lot different than the people doing it for entertainment purposes, right? And trying to generate money on views. You don't need a lot of money to generate revenue. Like you just don't, especially depending on the price point of the product you sell or the service that you sell. You know, we have some clients that sell pretty expensive services. So let's just say they shot 10 episodes and they got 1 new client from all 10 episodes going out there. And let's just say only 40 people watched it, but they had 5 or 6 people reach out and 1 close. It's worth it. They've made money. They've increased their bottom line and their top line, right? And so I don't want you to focus on view count. It's the furthest thing, get that out of your mind, right? Because you're going to get discouraged. You're going to feel like, oh, nobody's watching, nobody cares, right? And it's going to make you want to stop. And you can stop. Your competitors definitely want you to stop because they will keep eating that market share. They'll keep getting the attention of the customer. And the customer wants to give you attention when they have a problem that they're facing that you can answer a solution to. So the question is, does your business need a podcast? You tell me. Do you need help building more relationships? Would your business benefit from a tool that can help you network with great people to build and strengthen relationships? Would your business benefit from a tool that's doing sales for you 24/7, that's doing outreach for you 24/7? Would your business benefit from a tool that is constantly available and answering the questions that your potential customers have before they even reach out to you? So when they do reach out, they're a little bit more educated. If the answer is yes, then the podcast should be top of mind for you. You should be starting one. You don't have to do it in our studio, although we'd love to have you here in the studio. But even if you're doing it via Zoom or Riverside or whatever, you just need to start. At the end of the day, that's what this is about. You need to start your podcast, get out there, create content, right? With the intent of helping people, building relationships, and that will grow your business. We've seen it for ourselves. We've seen it for our clients, and we know it'll work for you as well. Anyways, my name is Trevin. I'm the owner of the Video Podcast Studio. If you own a business here in Vegas or in Henderson, and you're looking for a tool that can help you not only build relationships, but also create more content for your social media strategies, we'd love for you to consider us. Feel free to check out our site, give us a call, come tour the studio. Feel free to DM me, always down to answer any questions. Appreciate you guys joining in, and bye.
Welcome to Built in Vegas, the podcast where we spotlight the stories, strategies, and resources behind the businesses that make Vegas thrive. Whether you're starting up or scaling up, you're in the right place. Brought to you by the Video Podcast Studio.